Okay, this is for help with questions number 7, 8, and 9. So this will explain, first thing we want to do when you enter in here is go to oscillate. The next thing you want to do is turn damping all the way down. The next thing you want to do is choose no end. Okay, that works best. And then the other thing is I like to turn the amplitude all the way up. And the next thing I want to do is in the problem we've got tension right here. But if tension weren't tension, but instead speed of the wave, I want you to find what the low speed and the medium speed and the high speed actually are in this computer program. Because this computer program has it set behind the scenes, you don't know what it is. So let's discover it. So the first thing I do is it's really easy to work with really easy numbers. So we know that velocity is equal to your frequency times your wavelength. So I'm going to choose a frequency that's exactly 1. Okay, I've done that. And now I just wait for it to kind of keep going and set up. And then I'm going to pause it. Now I'm going to turn on my ruler. And if I take this ruler here, you can measure from peak to peak. But I've actually discovered it's almost easier to measure from where the line crosses. So for example, I go right here where my mouse is. See how where it crosses right there? Skip one and go right there. And do you see it's not, see this is 1.2 right here. This is 1.4 and 1.3 is halfway. Well, that's half of half or a fourth. So this is 1.25. Okay? And so now I'm going to pause it for just a minute. Well, I can't pause it. I can't write on it right now. So I'll have to show you the math in a minute. But just the speed is equal to the frequency times the wavelength. Our frequency is 1. Our wavelength is 1.25. That tells us our speed is 1 times 1.25. So our speed is 1.25 centimeters per second. So now we know the speed at the low position. Now in reality, I just gave it away. It is 1.25. But a lot of times you don't know what you're doing, and so you might change it up. So you need to do it 2 or 3 times on the low setting. Okay? So I'm going to change this, for example, to 0.75. That sounds like a really good number. And I'm going to run it again and let it be for a bit. And then I'm going to pause it. Okay, and then I'm going to measure this again. So I'm going to measure from this spot right there to this spot right here. Nope, from here to there. Notice I got about 1.7 because there's 2, 4, 6, and so it's like 1.65 or so, maybe 1.7. So anyways, so now I know my frequency is this. You take 0.75 times your wavelength, and it turns out to be the same number as 1.25 or very, very close. Okay? And then what you'll do is you'll move it to medium, and you'll do the same thing. So you'll hit run. But now you have a greater wavelength. So you have to pause it just so, and then you can measure it from peak to peak. But if you, it's kind of hard to see, so let's keep playing and let's do, So it's hard to measure, as you can see, because if we want to measure from the inflection point to another inflection point, so I'm going to change the frequency a little bit just so we can pick it up. So I'm going to change it to 0.5. And now that I've done that, I let it run. Okay, that's not going to work. But we could do, I guess we could measure from here to there, and that'd be half a wavelength, but we could double it. But just so it makes sense, I'm going to do it the right way. So let's increase the frequency instead. So let's go to 1.5. Actually, let's go really easy to 2. So we all the way to 2. Then I run it. Then I pause it. There we go. I'm going to go from there, I guess. So I'm going to measure from right here to right there. And I get 1.2468, 1.9, looks like 1.88. Okay, maybe 1.75. Wait, it's a computer. You know, maybe it is 1.75. But anyways, so 1.75 times 2, and that will give us, because the wavelength is 1.75 times the frequency, it'll give us a speed. And now we know the speed at the medium one. Okay? And you might want to change the frequency to another one, like we could change it to 3 and run it again. And then when you do that, oh, we can just, it's right there, so that's perfect. So we go here, here, here. So now we go, the wavelength is 1.25 times 3, and that will give us a speed. And notice that speed is going to be the same speed as the one we just did on medium. And it is a number line, so when you're done, you should get like 1.25, and whatever increment you go up by from the low to medium, you should go up from that medium to the high by the same increment. And then let me tell you one more little secret. This is really nice to know. If you do problem 7, 8, and 9 first, and you understand them, you now know the speeds. And these settings of low, medium, and high, those are the setting. That's the speed. So if I ask you in a previous problem, change the frequency to this and find the wavelength. You don't have to measure the wavelength with a ruler, because you know if you're on low, you now know what the speed is, and if you know the frequency and the speed, you can calculate the wavelength. Okay, I'm going to leave this video as it is. I think it'll really help you to understand problems 7, 8, and 9.